the options around stopping containers, because really, there are a ton of options to do exactly that. Okay, I started a little gist here, but I'm just going to go through and list out some of them, and we'll also do them here. For example, right now on this machine, boom, I got a bunch of Docker containers running. Let's actually make that a little bigger. There we go, Docker containers running. Now, I'm not even using any of these at the moment. They're just running because I forgot to stop them previously. So I can go through and use the standard Docker and then grab the container ID, paste that in, and that'll stop one. So if we do a Docker PS now, that one's no longer running. So that's great. Okay, I stopped one container, but I have all these others running still. I could have hundreds more, right? So let's say I want to stop two. I could do Docker stop and paste this one in like that, and then space, and then paste in the next one. And then I just stop two containers. Okay, that's cool. So what do we have? We have Docker stop and ID, and then we have Docker stop and ID and an ID like that. Okay. Now what else can we do here though? There's another option. If we do, okay, let's say, you know, you've pulled this up, and that's usually how I pull up a list to start to stop the containers, because that's how I find out what containers are running. Now, there's an easier way to get the list of the things that we need to stop the containers. Okay. Now, I can type in Docker PS, like you've seen. I can also do Docker container list, which is basically the same thing, to note. So if you see Docker container list or Docker container stop, that's basically Docker container stop. And then like we can do another ID, paste it in there. The other thing to do, you can also use the names like this. Okay. And then that stops container. Okay. So we still have containers running still, even after all that work. And I just wanted to draw out the fact that Docker container list, Docker PS, and Docker stop is the same as, you know, Docker container stop. Okay, so that's important to know if you use one of those versus the other ones. So these all culminate in what I'm about to show you. So one of the things that you can do is Docker container ls. That's also the list, right? Let's say we do Docker container PS. I'll just use the short thing there. And we do -a. Okay, changed what's going on. It shows all the containers, and it shows which ones are up and which ones are exited, right? Because those containers are still there. I could start those back if I wanted to. But also, I can do Docker PS-Q, and it shows just the active IDs of the containers. Now this one is super handy, because if you combine it with Docker PS-AQ, you get this, all the containers, right? Okay, but let's say I just want to stop the containers that are running, right? I can do Docker, let's see here, stop, and then the little $, open, close, parens, and then I'm going to put that command in there. Let's see, Docker PS-Q. Okay, so that's going to be just the ones that are running. I'm going to command those to stop, okay? Now, based on what I just said a minute ago, this could have looked like Docker container stop, Docker container list -AQ, or even Q. There's various combinations, right? Because those will still issue this same command. The -Q is going to get that ID and make it run iteratively with every single one of the aforementioned Docker container stop. So it's going to be like Docker container stop, the first one, Docker container stop, the second one, Docker container stop, the third one. So those IDs are going to be iterated through in that sense. Now, at least one argument, right? Because in that situation, I've already just stopped everything, so that wouldn't work. Now, We do this and nothing is running. That's what we expect. However, if we do this and we look at all the containers are still there. They're just exited and stopped, right? So let's go and look at two things though. Another thing is the images. All of those containers are based off of those two images, my Hasura GraphQL engine and the Postgres database server. As you can see, just from those two containers, just those two images, I've launched a lot of containers from those and had them running for examples, demos, testing, development, all the work that I'm doing. So I have stopped all those containers. All those container images are stored right there, as you see in front of you. Now there's two things to do to clean this up a little bit more. I could do Docker container. Oh, did I need to do I think I needed to do list. There we go. All right, now that just nuked every one of the containers. So now if I do PS, all containers, I got nothing, okay? However, because containers are not the core image, those still are there. To get rid of those, you can go through each individual one with RMI, remove image, and you can grab the ID, copy and paste it in there like that. Or you can go through and delete all of them. Same thing. It's your Docker RMI, yep. And then if we do this, and Docker images -q, same thing for the ID, right? -q, same across for images and containers. Boom, nuked. I think you could probably even do this and then force, if there's some, or maybe that's presumed with that particular. No, I think you would have to add it like that. But anyway, there's nothing left. So my Docker images are gone. My Docker containers are gone. Everything is empty, right? Beautiful. So there we go.